Okay guys, today we're going to make a simple application that's simply going to use two buttons from the stage, and it's going to do something quite easy. So here we go. First of all, I'm going to go into my Windows. I'm going to go into Common Libraries, and in Common Libraries I'm going to choose Buttons, and this will populate with a list of buttons that I can use. So let's see, I think I'll shoot down here to Classic Buttons, and I'm going to choose from this menu three different buttons. No, two different. I'll take the green button, classic green button, and I will take an orange button. Good. I'll put them right on the stage. I'm going to put text fields, actually three text fields. One text field is going to be static text. So I come down here to the Properties menu and I choose static text. I draw that anywhere I want. This is going to be a little message to myself, and it's going to say my buttons. Okay, and I can move that around as I choose. If I choose a selection tool, I can come and drag that right down here, and that's easy to follow. Okay, now I'm going to have some dynamic text fields. I use the same text tool from the toolbar, except this time when I draw the rectangle for the text, I'm going to come down to the Properties box and change this to dynamic text. Dynamic text allows you to change text during the run of the program. I'll size that a little bit, grab my selection tool again. I can go ahead and move that down. I think I'll just copy and paste this guy so I don't have to redraw it. And now I've got two dynamic text boxes. I have to give each of these objects a name. Since the static text box doesn't change, I don't have to give that a name. But the green button, I'm just going to call it G button, and then underscore BTN. I'm going to go ahead and select the orange button. I'll go ahead and call that O button. And underscore BTN to let me know that that's a button. But again, these are the names that I'm going to be using in the coding, so I have to be able to keep track of all the different objects. This guy is going to be associated with the green button, but I'm going to call him G button underscore TXT because it's a text box. And likewise on this guy, I'm going to call this guy O button underscore TXT. And so when I hit the orange button, I'm going to have text appear in this text field. When I hit the green button, I'm going to have it appear here. So we have the name of the text field is associated with the name of the button. In any case, green button underscore BTN and G button underscore TXT. Okay, now I'm ready to start writing some code. So I've got a couple of layers up here. I put all my buttons and text fields in one layer. Up in this layer now, I'm going to go ahead and this is AS3 for Actionscript 3, and I am going to go into the Actions panel and I'm going to write some code. So everything in Actionscript is driven by event listeners. So I'm going to say add event listener and parentheses with a semicolon. Now this is an event listener. It's going to be listening for some kind of event. What kind of event is it going to be listening for? It's going to be listening for a mouse event, because when I click on the button, I'm going to be clicking on it with my mouse, and if I hit a dot and capital C, I can see that click comes up on the menu, so I'll simply hit return. At this point, I'm almost ready to put my function in. I think I'll go ahead and call it G button handler, and that's going to be the name of the function, so that every time I click on the mouse, I'm going to go to this function. There's one more piece to this that I have to add, though. I am listening with my event listener. I'm listening for a particular type of event, a mouse event, and when I click the mouse, then I'm going to go to this function, but I have to attach it to my object. And so I'm not just going to be able to click it anywhere in the screen. This is only going to work when I click on the button itself, and so I'm just going to put G button underscore BTN. And now, if I attach that with my dot operator, I've got this guy. So attached to my green button, I've got an event listener listening for a mouse event. When I click on that, I'm going to go to this function called G button handler. And so now I have to write that function. Let's go ahead down here. I'm going to get rid of this little window over here. So I'm going to go ahead and write a function. So this is just function. And I go ahead and give it my function name, which I just made up. I'm not going to be returning anything, so I'll put void, open curly brace, end curly brace, and inside these parentheses, I have to accept a parameter. The reason is because the event listener is going to send it a parameter, and it's going to send it an event parameter, so I'll go ahead and say edt colon, and let them know it's the same, let the function know it's the same kind of event that I have here, so it's simply going to be a mouse event. Now at this point, every time I click on green button, my event listener will hear that, especially when I click on the mouse, and then I'll call this function gbuttonhandler. Gbuttonhandler is right here, so all the code inside this function will be executed when I click on the green button. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and say gbutton underscore txt. Now that's not my button, that's the text field. Specifically, it's a dynamic text field, and so I'm going to change a property of the text field. I'm going to change the text property, and so when I click on it, I'm going to get a string of characters. And the string of characters that I'm going to get can be anything I want. Let's go ahead and say, you hit the green button. So there we are. At this point, if I've done everything correctly, I'm going to go ahead and run it, and I misspelled something apparently. Let's go ahead and see what. It says it doesn't like gbutton underscore btn, so let's see what I named it back here. This guy was named gbutton. Oh, I've got an uppercase B in the code. I've got a lowercase b. It has to match perfectly. Let's run it again. Okay, now it works, and I have you hit the green button. If I click on it again, nothing's going to change because it keeps doing the same code. Let's go ahead and copy this code for the orange button, and all I have to do here is come back into my actions window, and at this point I'm going to go ahead and just copy all of this. Well, let's go ahead and do this one at a time. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to make something very similar for the orange button. I just have to change my G to an O. I change this G to an O, and that's it for that. So now I've got another function called OButtonHandler, and so if I take all of this code, copy it, and now I paste that, I'm going to change this to OButtonHandler. Remember, you can't have two functions with the same name. So this is going to be an OButtonHandler attached to my OButton, and instead of saying you hit the green button, I want it to say you hit the orange button. Let's go ahead and run this, and this time I didn't get any errors, so I say you hit the green button and you hit the orange button, so that's working fine. Let's go ahead and make one more quick change. Inside here, I want this to change every time I hit the button, so it's going to toggle back and forth. I can do that with a simple if statement. So I just say if, I put parentheses for my condition, and I have a curly brace there. I'm going to put another one down at the bottom. And so my condition is if this guy is equal to, let's say, nothing, then I want to put that in. So the way that I do that is I'll reduce this to nothing, so an empty string. And I don't want to actually assign it that value. I want to ask the question, is it equal? So I'll just put two equal signs. Two equal signs is the logical operator asks, are they equal? And in this case, this is the assignment operator who actually takes that string and loads it in. Now let's go ahead and do it. And it says nothing has changed yet. But if I make this an else statement, I can say else, and I'll go ahead and just put another curly brace here. And now I'll go ahead, and if it's empty, I'm going to put text there, but if there's text there, then I will just empty that string. To do that, I just hit this, and I'm good to go. I'll go ahead and straighten out my code. Let's go ahead and see if that toggles. And this, yes, okay, now it toggles back and forth each time I hit that button. I can take all this code and drop it down here, do the same thing for the orange button, and now I just go ahead and change the G's to O's. And I'll change this one word to orange. And I'm ready to go. So we'll go ahead and run the program. If I hit my green button once, I get the message. Hit it twice, it goes away. Hit this guy, and this guy will continue to toggle back and forth. And that's how we use buttons. That's it for today. Bye-bye.